Imagine a place where fire is the least of your worries. A place where the greatest torment is not physical pain, but the eternal, crushing awareness of a love you have lost forever. This isn't a horror movie. This is the testimony of a saint, an account of a journey into the very heart of hell. Sister Faustina Kowalska was shown the abyss, and what she wrote down in her diary has the power to change everything you thought you knew about sin, mercy, and the final judgment. The details are precise, horrifying, and meant as a warning for us all. Before we descend into that darkness, you have to understand who the guide was. Helena Kowalska, known to the world as Saint Faustina, was a young, uneducated Polish nun in the 1932. She wasn't a theologian or a scholar. She was a humble servant who claimed to receive extraordinary visions of Jesus. These visions gave the world the divine mercy devotion, a message centered on God's boundless, almost incomprehensible love and mercy for sinners. It's a profound irony that this apostle of mercy was chosen to witness the ultimate consequence of rejecting that mercy. What she saw wasn't for her own sake, but for ours. If you find these explorations of faith and mystery compelling, take a moment to subscribe. We're going deep into this account, and you won't want to miss a single detail. In her diary, which she titled "Divine Mercy in My Soul," Faustina recorded everything. She was commanded by her spiritual director, and she believed by Jesus himself, to write it all down, no matter how strange or terrifying. This wasn't a choice. It was a duty. She wrote, "Today, I was led by an angel to the chasms of hell. It is a place of great torture. How awesomely large and extensive it is." Her words are not the flowery language of a poet. They are the stark, factual report of a witness. So what did she see? Her account breaks the suffering down into 7 distinct tortures. The first, and the one she describes as the most supreme, had nothing to do with flames or demons. It was the loss of God. Imagine the source of all love, all beauty, all joy, all peace, being ripped away from you. Not just hidden, but gone. And you are left with the full, agonizing, eternal knowledge of what you have lost, and that you will never, ever experience it again. It's an inner torment, a spiritual black hole from which there is no escape. She says this suffering is what constitutes the essential nature of hell. The second torture follows directly from the first. It's the perpetual remorse of conscience. Every sin, every missed opportunity for kindness, every selfish act plays back in the soul's memory, not as a distant event, but as a present reality. There's no distraction, no excuse, no one else to blame. The soul is laid bare before itself, and it sees its own ugliness with horrifying clarity. This isn't just guilt. Faustina describes it as a fire that gnaws at the soul, a self-inflicted torment that never ceases because the past can never be changed. The third torture is the certainty that one's condition will never change. Not in a million years, not in a billion. It is sealed forever. In our lives, hope is the engine that drives us. Hope for a better day, hope for forgiveness, hope for change. In the place Faustina saw, hope is dead. The knowledge that this specific suffering, this specific despair, will be your reality for all of eternity is a unique and crushing form of mental anguish. It's the finality of the choice made in life, now stretched out into a timeless, unbreakable sentence. Here is where we get to the fire, but it's not what you think. The fourth torture, she says, is the fire that penetrates the soul without destroying it. She specifies it's a purely spiritual fire, lit by God's anger. This is a difficult concept. It's not a fire that burns skin, but one that burns the very essence of your being. It's the pain of being in a state that is fundamentally opposed to the nature of God, who is a consuming fire of love. To be in a state of pure hatred and rebellion is to be perpetually burned by that divine reality. The fifth torture moves into the realm of the senses. Faustina describes a continual darkness and a terrible, suffocating, and repulsive smell. Even in this spiritual realm, there is a kind of sensory deprivation and assault. The absence of light, the symbol of God and truth, is total. And the suffocating odor represents the stench of sin and spiritual death. It's an environment of pure decay, where every sense is offended and there is no relief, no breath of fresh air, no single beautiful thing to see. The sixth torture is the constant company of Satan and the other fallen angels. In hell, you are not alone, and that is the problem. You are surrounded by beings whose entire existence is now defined by hatred. Hatred of God, hatred of the good, and a special, venomous hatred for human souls who were given the chance they squandered. There is no camaraderie in hell. There is only mutual torment, accusation, and the unending, spiteful gaze of pure evil. And the final, seventh torture she lists is a horrible despair. It's the culmination of all the others. A despair born from the loss of God, the gnawing conscience, the eternal sentence, the spiritual fire, the suffocating darkness, and the company of demons. This despair manifests as a hatred of God, vile words, curses, and blasphemies. The soul, in its final state, does not repent. It doubles down. It curses the God it has lost, locking itself into a permanent state of rage and rebellion. This is the final, horrifying confirmation of its choice. But the vision didn't stop there. Faustina noted that these were general tortures that all the damned share. She then adds, there are special tortures destined for particular souls. These are the torments of the senses. She explains that each soul is tormented in a particular and dreadful way by that which it used to sin. A soul that lived for vanity might be tormented by its own hideousness. A soul that lived for greed might be tormented by eternal poverty. It's a terrifying concept of divine justice, where the punishment is not arbitrary but is intrinsically linked to the sin itself. She makes a chilling observation that has haunted readers of her diary for decades. She wrote, "Let the sinner know that he will be tortured throughout all eternity, in those senses which he made use of to sin." And then she adds this, "I am writing this at the command of God, so that no soul may find an excuse by saying there is no hell, or that nobody has ever been there, and so no one can say what it is like." She says that what she has written is but a pale shadow of the things she saw. And most terrifyingly, she noticed that the greater part of the souls who were there were souls who had not believed in hell. This experience nearly broke her. She wrote in her diary, "I, Sister Faustina, by the order of God, have been in the abyss of hell, so that I might tell souls about it and testify to its existence. I would have died at the very sight of these tortures if the omnipotence of God had not supported me." This wasn't some academic exercise for her. It was a trauma, a terrible burden of knowledge she now had to carry. She understood that her life's mission, the spreading of the divine mercy message, was now more urgent than ever. It was the only antidote to the reality she had been forced to witness. And that is the key to understanding this entire vision. It was not shown to her, or to us, simply to terrify. It was shown to underscore the infinite value of God's mercy. Hell, in her vision, is the state of the soul that definitively and finally rejects that mercy. It is not a place God sends people to, but a place people choose by turning their back on love itself. The entire point of her diary, the point of the Divine Mercy Chaplet, the point of the feast day, is to be a lifeline. A constant reminder that no matter how far a soul has fallen, as long as it is alive, it can turn back. The door to mercy is always open, but it will not remain open forever. Sister Faustina's vision is a stark and uncomfortable pillar of modern Catholic mysticism. It stands in direct opposition to a more comfortable, modern idea that hell is empty or merely a metaphor. For her, it was a real place, a real possibility, born from the real freedom God gives us to choose our own destiny. She saw the final, tragic consequence of choosing a life without God. Her testimony is not a threat, but a loving, desperate warning from a messenger of mercy. A plea to understand the stakes, and to choose love, to choose mercy, before it's too late. So, what are we to do with this knowledge? This terrifying, detailed account from a canonized saint. It forces us to confront our own lives, our own choices, and our own beliefs about what comes next. What part of Saint Faustina's vision is the most unsettling to you? The loss of God, the eternal regret, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments. It's a conversation worth having.